Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Cross Country Sports. My name is Elliot Skillings, and I'm joined by Adam Ryerson. And I think we're just going to hop straight in. Adam, we're going to start with the MLB playoffs. And what are your feelings about the AL playoff picture?
So the big thing about the AL right now, basically all the teams that are going to get in know they're going to get in. Right now, they're just fighting for seeding. In the AL, it's like about 9 teams, and I'm going to exclude the Detroit Tigers from this conversation just because they're 500 in one of the best divisions in baseball right now in the AL Central. But what I think, I don't know how the records are going to turn out. I'm going to give you guys some power rankings right now. First on the power rankings, I've got the Tampa Bay Rays. I think that they're the best team in the AL. They've got an MVP caliber player in Lowe, who's been playing insane second base and outfield. Next, I'm going to go with the Indians, who made the deal that nobody thinks they won when they gave up Clevenger, but I think that they did a really good job with that, bringing in pieces that can help them win a World Series this year. After the Indians, I'm going to go with the Athletic A's, who have just been an all-around team. Like, they've been great. After them, I'm going to go with the Twins. I think the Twins are probably, on paper, the best team in the AL Central, but I think the Indians right now are just going to be able to pass them up for that 1 seed. They're in third right now, I believe, in the AL, behind the White Sox and the Indians. But after that, I got the Yankees at 5. And this is a really interesting one for me, because I think that the Yankees and the Dodgers, when everyone's healthy, I think they're the 2 best teams in baseball. And I think it shows with the power that you see from Stanton and Judge. And my personal favorite for the AL MVP in Luke Voit. I think if you have all those guys healthy through the entire postseason, I think that they have a really good shot at winning it all, or at least making it out of that stacked AL. After the Yankees, I'm going to go with the White Sox, hometown team. I wanted to put them higher, but all they've proven to me this year is that they can beat up on the bad teams, but they're really, really hard. It's hard for them to beat those playoff teams like when they played the Twins last weekend, and they ended up going 1-2 against them. I don't know if their pitching's there quite yet. Cease has been looking good. Giolito absolutely has been looking good. He can be better, though. He's been a little shaky. And Keuchel has been a huge addition to him. I didn't think that he was going to have the impact that he does right now for this White Sox team. After that, we got the Houston Astros. Nobody wants to see them in the playoffs, but they're going to make it to the playoffs. And then my dark horse for the entire MLB playoffs is going to be the Blue Jays. I have them getting in, obviously, to the playoffs, but with their young talent, with Bo Bichette and Vlad Jr., if I'm a team like the Indians or I'm like the Rays, and this is a team that I might have to play in the first round of the playoffs in a 3-game series, with all the power that they have and all the young talent, I think that they could really knock off and upset one of these big teams.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for your playoff predictions and power rankings. I'd like to move on now to the AL awards. Who do you have there?
So for AL MVP, it's down to basically, for me, 3 players. You got Mike Trout. What's new? It's Mike Trout. Like, he's one of the best players of all time, having a phenomenal season right now. He's just playing out of his mind. And then someone that I already mentioned him earlier, Luke Voit, I think that he should be winning AL MVP this year. If you look at his stats, especially hitting, he has been the best first baseman in baseball. He has the most home runs, RBIs, on base, like whatever you want, slugging. He's been out of his mind, especially recently. And I don't think anybody actually wants to see him win MVP because a lot of people don't really know who he is as much as people should. He's not a household name like Mike Trout or Fernando Tatis. And then I had to throw Abreu in here. Abreu, he is the best all-around position player for me this year. And, of course, Voit has been insane hitting. But I think Abreu is one of, if not the most underrated players defensively in baseball. And after the White Sox series with the Cubs, Rizzo praised him on that. And when you have your crosstown rival and starting first baseman complimenting your first baseman and saying that he's underrated, especially defensively, when we know his numbers, he's been out of his mind as well as Voit. But I think not only is he the best all-around player, I think that he has also had a great impact on this young and explosive team in the White Sox. I'm going to move it over to the AL Cy Young. This is going to be quick. There's really only one option for this award, and it's going to go to Shane Bieber. Couple stats for you guys. 52.2 innings pitched, 7 earned runs, 84 strikeouts, which leads the MLB. He has a 6-0 record and a 1.2 ERA. If I'm going to be looking for a Cy Young, I don't know if there's anybody that can beat him.
Absolutely. And now let's move over to the NL side, where there are some more question marks, some teams who are still fighting for position and to just make it into the playoffs. We know the Dodgers are the best team in the league, in the league by a sizable margin. But who are the teams on the bubble who you think can make it?
So on the bubble for me, I think that there's a couple teams that can get into it. And right now it's going to come down to the Marlins, the Rockies, and the Giants for me. I think the Giants aren't going to make it in. They just whooped up on the Rockies, but I still have the Rockies and the Marlins getting in there. I think that a lot of people were questioning what the Marlins were doing during the trade deadline when they went out and got Marte. But, I mean, I don't know if it was his first or second game on the team. He hits a walk-off home run. And right now, Marlins are behind the Phillies for that second spot in the division. But I do think that the Marlins get in there as a wild card team. I don't think they go anywhere. I don't think the Rockies go anywhere either. But I think that they're going to be the last two teams to sneak in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, Elliot. I know you're a Giants man. I don't think those Giants are going to make it to the playoffs.
I mean, they've been on fire, but I see what you're saying. I mean, the Giants have done this to me over the last few years. They'll go on a hot stretch, and then they'll kind of just regress back to the mean. So I completely respect and understand your decision. And, I mean, if it was up to me, I would almost hope they wouldn't make the playoffs because I think it's time for them to blow up their old core, and I think just making the playoffs would elongate and extend that process. All right. That was great baseball talk. Adam, thank you for carrying that segment.
Yeah, no
We're going to
problem.
take a commercial break really quick, and we'll be back with some NFL talk.
Welcome back, everybody, to Cross Country Sports. I'm Adam Ryerson here with Elliot Skillings, and we're going to talk some NFL football right now. First game is going to start on Thursday.
It's exciting.
It's
I'm
very
excited.
exciting. I miss football so much. I don't know if people understand how much I need football in my life right now. Anyway, we're going to start with some divisional predictions for who we think is going to win the division. Elliot, why don't you get us started there?
All right, let's start with the AFC East. And I'm going to have to roll with the Bills at number 1. I'm expecting Josh Allen to take a step. I think their defense is elite, top 3 in the league, in my opinion. You have players such as Jordan Poyer, who have just been playing out of their mind the last few years. I think they will also take a step as a unit. And I think on offense, with the addition of Stephon Diggs, with the addition of Zach Moss, I think there are really no weaknesses in this team, and that's in my opinion. I think we'll get into a segment a little later where Aiden might disagree with some of that, or Adam, excuse me. But after them, I have to go with the Patriots. I think Cam Newton is going to be healthy. I'm excited for a healthy Cam Newton to see what he does. I just don't think that they will be able to finish above the Bills just because I think the Bills are more talented. I think they have more continuity, more team chemistry for playing together the last 3 years, and I just expect them to kind of, I wouldn't say run away with this division, but I think they'll make a statement with winning this division pretty handily. After them, I've got to go with the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, people are kind of all over the place on them. I'm kind of in between. I think they're definitely going to be improved from last year, regardless of if Tua plays or not. I just think with the additions of Byron Jones and Kyle Van Noy, I think their defense will improve. I think they have some weapons on offense now, and I think with Brian Flores, he proved to me at the end of last year he was an excellent coach with the way they played, especially upsetting the Patriots in Week 17. And I think because of that, they'll probably finish 6-10 or 7-9. But once again, it'll be a strong 6-10 or 7-9. And I think it's just this team has nowhere to go but up, and they'll continue to improve. And it might not be their year this year, but they'll over the next 2 or 3 years, I would expect them to get into playoffs. And finally, we have the Jets. I am a big Sam Darnold guy. I just think he doesn't have enough help around him. I appreciate they're able to draft an offensive lineman. I think they will be a little bit better than last year. I don't see in that division how they'll be able to get maybe more than 2 or 3 wins against their divisional opponents. And I could honestly, if they went 5-11, it would not surprise me one bit, even though I do think they will be an improved team from last year.
Yeah, and if you're the Jets, it's kind of hard do worse than you did last year. That Sam Darnold with that mono situation just kind of killed the season for you right as it started. I'm a huge Sam Darnold guy as well. But I'm gonna move it over to the AFC North. And for this division, I'm in a little bit of a toss-up. So I think the Browns are gonna be better than they were last year. I think the Steelers are gonna be much better, and I don't know about the Ravens though. So my biggest thing about the AFC North is I think that there are maybe 2.5, or 2, maybe 3 playoff teams. And I don't know if I'm crazy saying that, but I still have hope in this Browns team. I still think that they can be good, especially with Nick Chubb, who I think is a top 5 back in the league. I'm not sold on Baker yet, but their offensive weapons are so strong. And you have their defense, which I think is maybe the most underrated. I think Myles Garrett's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year because of how explosive he is. And Denzel Ward's coming back too. And he is an absolute stud out in the corner, in open field corner. He's just insane. Coming out of Ohio State in his second year, got injured last year, wasn't able to complete the season. But I think he's going to be really good. But for power, who I think is going to win the division, I think I might go with the Steelers here. I think the Steelers bringing back Big Ben, James Conner, their chemistry was insane a couple years back. Juju is a beast, and then I think Deontay Johnson. I think that he is just going to be so good. I think when Juju bursted on the scene, he did that because Antonio Brown was taking targets away from him, or taking coverage away from him. Antonio Brown's going to get double teamed because at the time he was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I think that that's going to happen, not to as much of an extreme, but I think Johnson's going to be getting so many looks from Roethlisberger because he's just not going to be able to get it to Juju because Juju's going to be covered up so heavily. After the Steelers, I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think that they could win the division. It really depends on the receivers. I think that Lamar and Hollywood Brown, if they're on the same page, and I love their backfield, and they're going to have the best running in the league besides maybe the 49ers, I still think the Ravens running game is going to be better because of what Lamar can do with his feet. But if you get Hollywood Brown and you get Lamar Jackson on the same page, that's going to be a lethal duo. After them, I got the Browns, and then, Joe Burrow's on the Bengals now, but their odds to win the AFC North is plus 2,600. I don't think I need to talk about the Bengals that much.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there, Adam. I like what you said about the Steelers and the Browns. It's definitely going to be a much improved division. Now I'm going to move on to the AFC South. And I think this may be a bit of a hot take here, but I have the Colts finishing in first. I think their offensive line is elite. It might just be the best offensive line in football, with maybe the best offensive lineman in football in Quentin Nelson. Their defense, led by Darius Leonard, is solid. Now they have a quarterback who I think, honestly, with the addition of Jonathan Taylor and also Marlon Mack, just needs to manage the game. He could throw some quick passes to T.Y. Hilton, and I think if they can get the running game going, to play action to their receivers will be lethal. I really, really do. I could see them. I think this is going to be a typical AFC South year, but it'll be a much more competitive AFC South than we've seen in the past. So I could see the Colts winning this division at 11-5. After them, I still have the Texans. Deshaun Watson, despite losing DeAndre Hopkins, I still believe in Deshaun Watson. I think he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. They still have offensive line issues, which they will hinder them, but I think we're going to see this team over the next few years until they can improve their offensive line, be sort of like the Seahawks were in the earlier part of this past decade.
So you're going to take the Texans over the Titans this year?
I am.
Wow.
I understand it's a hot take. I might just say it now. I could see Deshaun Watson winning MVP this year.
Wow.
Also, one more gem I'm going to throw in there for you. I think people were ragging on David Johnson for being just kind of the random trade piece for DeAndre Hopkins. I think David Johnson could have a career resurrecting year.
Wow. Well,
he's
been injured for
for
a while.
But his talent, especially in the quick pass game,
is
phenomenal. It's incredible.
Yep.
After them, we have the Titans. Let me go back. I think the Texans will finish 9-7. I think they might make the playoffs, but it's an incredibly competitive AFC, especially with the AFC North. So they could go 9-7, squeeze in the playoffs, and in that case, I could see Deshaun winning MVP. But they're going to have an uphill battle to climb. But I think they're still going to be solid. In third, I have the Titans. I I don't really see how they improved. I think they got hot at the end of last year. They went on a run. More power to them. I think it was a mistake to pay Derrick Henry the money they did. I think he's an incredible running back, but I think giving $48 million to any running back outside of Christian McCaffrey and maybe a Saquon or Alvin Kamara is absurd. Ryan Tannehill, I think, honestly, if you look at the way the quarterback market is going, they got him at a deal when they did, but I still don't think he's good enough to carry – I wouldn't even say carry, but to lead a team consistently to the playoffs. So I could see them having a fallback year at 8-8 or 7-9. And in last place, I have the Jaguars. I think it's a dumpster fire. I think at this point, they're just trying to clean house. I think they're trying to get rid of all of Tom Coughlin's creations. They're trying to start over again, which seems like they've been doing pretty endlessly since really the early 2000s, the last time they were good.
Besides that, 2017 team,
2017 team, and then
I don't even remember,
in the 90s. So, I think this is a more competitive division than it was in years past. But I still think people are going to look at it and the records and go, there's not going to be a team that goes 13-3 or 12-4. I think the max is the Colts. I got them at 11-5. So let's move on to the AFC West, Adam.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of fly through this one. I think that it's an interesting division this year because of all the rebuilding that's going on, but I don't think it's going to be that competitive. Chiefs are going to blow them out. Mahomes is just going to have another insane year. Offense is stacked. Defense is solid. I don't see how anybody's beating the Chiefs in the regular season this year. Of course, they're going to lose a couple games. If they go 16-0, that'd be insane. I don't think they will.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think after them, I'm gonna put the Broncos. They've got a young, high-powered offense, but I don't see how they do better than 8-8 unless they get hot and their offense really clicks. I'm really high on Jerry Jeudy this year. I think he's gonna have a great year. I think bringing in Melvin Gordon is an interesting thing to do for them, just because I do like Lindsey and I want to see how they're gonna balance those two backs. After them. I've got the Las Vegas Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders. Almost stumbled there. But Las Vegas Raiders are an interesting team for me. Gruden has been praising Mariota recently in training camp, saying that he's making plays that he doesn't think quarterbacks should be able to make, everything like that. Derek Carr is still a starter for me. I don't think Derek Carr ever had the weapons around him to prove himself, and I think maybe this year with them bringing in Ruggs, he can. Mm-hmm. But I think Josh Jacobs is going to be one of the I think he's definitely a top 10 running back, even from his rookie year last year. Mm-hmm. I think he's really going to burst onto the scene, and then he's going to be able to challenge some people with that high-powered offense that I think they'll be able to have with Waller, with Ruggs, and with him. I think that they're going to be able to put up some points, but I just don't see how the defense is going to be able to hold anybody there. And then finally, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who just drafted a quarterback in Herbert, but it looks like they're trying to tank and try and get Lawrence, which I don't really understand. Defense is really good. I'm gonna have their defense in fantasy this year, maybe be streaming defenses. We'll see how it goes. Derwin James is a huge loss for him, or for the Chargers, and I really feel bad about it because I love the way Derwin James plays, and I think when healthy, he is one of the best safeties in the league. Even though he has not played a lot, I still think he's phenomenal. I haven't met anybody that doesn't like Derwin James. I hope he gets better, but I think it's NFC time.
All right, so I want to start with the NFC North, and I have some breaking news to announce live on air that the Bears are expected to start Mitchell Trubisky week 1. So first of all, Adam, as a Bears fan, quick reaction to that.
So I feel like there are two things for me with this quarterback battle. I think that no matter what option you choose, you're going to get a decent starter. I don't like the Bears' offense. I don't think they have enough weapons to really compete. If they're going to do good this year, which I think they will, I actually have the Vikings winning the division, personally. And then I have the Bears coming in second. Might be just because, that's my team. I got Packers in third, and then I got after them, I got the Lions. People think they're going to be a breakout team. I don't think they are. But Bears, I like Trubisky. He has gotten more hate out of any NFL quarterback that has been. He started for a little over 2 years since he did have those games back when we had Mike Glennon. It was terrible. That was a hard year to watch. But he was a Pro Bowler in his first year totally starting And it might have been because of that defense, because they helped them out a lot. Last year, the defense regressed. But I like Trubisky more than I like Nick Foles. And I don't know if I'm crazy saying that, but nobody in his short career has gotten as much hate as him. And he's training with a new quarterback coach. He's getting better. Nagy's a fan of him. Nagy's there for him. I think if I was Nagy and I was on the team, and he was on the team when we were drafting, we would have taken Watson, but that's not my place to talk. Ryan Pace, I think, needs to go. But, yeah, I'll stop ranting about the Bears. I like Trubisky over Foles. I think Foles is the best backup in the league, though.
All right, so just to quickly sum that up, you say you have the Vikings winning the division, the Bears coming in second, the Packers finishing third, and the Lions coming in last.
Yep.
I'm going to move on to the NFC South, and we're going to have to start to fly through these as we're on a little bit of a time crunch. I think this is a really good division. I think this is another division where all of these teams will play. They will be better than their records reflect. I think really from top to bottom, I have optimism about each and every one of these teams. I'm going to start with the team I have finishing first, and that is the New Orleans Saints. I think this is the year to do it. If they want to get another Super Bowl in, I would assume it's Drew Brees' last year, although he might play one more due to COVID. They added Emmanuel Sanders. They still have an incredible set of weapons with Michael Thomas, Jared Cook at tight end. They have Alvin Kamara, of course. And I just think they are, at least in the regular season, maybe the hardest team to play on the road against. I mean, I guess this year won't really matter. But I think they are just an outstanding team from top to bottom. They're very well coached. And I could see them finishing 13-3, and it would be really a smooth 13-3. And in second, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Tom Brady still has it. I think people rag on him a little bit too hard. He had no weapons at the end of the year in New England, nobody who could really connect with outside of Edelman. And I think really I could see how they could be a little bit of a disappointment. But after adding Leonard Fournette, I just think there's too much talent there for them not to be successful. And I strongly believe that they'll make the playoffs as a 5 seed, probably at around 11-5. And in third, this might be a little bit of a flip-flop from what other people may think. I have the Panthers.
Wow.
I do. I think while their defense is subpar, I think their offensive weapons are pretty underrated. They might have I would have to think about this harder. They have maybe a top 6 or 7 set of offensive weapons in the league with McCaffrey. You have Curtis Samuel as your slot, and then you have Robbie Anderson, which I think, given his relationship with Matt Rule from Temple, could be a good acquisition. And then, of course, you have DJ Moore, who I think is going to have a breakout year. I think he's already underrated, but I think he's going to have a breakout year. And I could see them playing, I think I could see them being around a 7-9 team. And then last, I have the Falcons. I did not like their first-round pick. I understand they wanted to go with a corner. I thought A.J. Terrell was a little bit overdrafted. I still think their defense has holes in it. I think, having Keanu Neal back and Ricardo Allen will help. But I still think their defense will just bleed out points. I think their running game, even though they acquired Todd Gurley with their shaky offensive line, I don't think it will be enough. And Matt Ryan will have to try to carry the team on his back, throw it up to Julio and Calvin Ridley. I could see him finishing 8-8. I just don't know if they'll be able to make it through an incredibly tough NFC South.
All right. I don't know what you're talking about with the Panthers there. I completely disagree. I love Julio, but that's just me.
I got you.
We'll hop in. I am going to go with the NFC East. I'll let you talk about your Niners. I think the Cowboys might be one of the best teams in the league this year. I think that when Zeke was a rookie and he had his amazing rookie season, they were 13-3. I think now they have the best receiving core in the NFL, and I'm putting them above Tampa. I think that they'll have 3 1,000-yard receivers, and I know everybody's saying this, but Cooper, Gallup, and having brought in CeeDee Lamb, that's just going to be absolutely lethal. And you have Zeke and someone who I think is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL for an offense. I'll put Dak in there. I think Dak is probably the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. I love Dak, and I love Dak this year. And maybe it's just because he helped me win a fantasy championship last year, being the number 2 fantasy quarterback. But I think if you want to see the Cowboys succeed, and actually make a run for the Super Bowl, I think this is going to be the year. Because of all those like high-powered offense, and they've got Leighton Vander Esch and a very solid defense behind them. Next, I'm kind of split here because I want to go with the Giants because I think Danny Dimes is going to have a great year. I think Saquon's going to be good. I think that the only reason that I'll put them third and I'll put the Eagles second, I don't know if that they can stay healthy with key players like Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram. I think their defense is a lot better than people think they are, but for the past couple of years, they haven't really been able. They've been put in really bad field position because of their offense. You know, like they're not pinning teams in their own 10-yard line. They're gonna have to come out in the field at like the opposing 30. So they have to, instead of having to make the offense go like 90 yards, they've had to make them go 70 or less to score a touchdown. And I don't know if that's on the defense. I think they can be better. But I'm gonna go with the Eagles at 2. I think Carson Wentz, he's going to stay healthy. He was able to stay healthy during the regular season last year. I think Miles Sanders, everybody's been saying it. I think he's going to have a breakout season. Not as much as I think other running backs that could have breakout seasons or have had breakout seasons. I think Sanders is going to be good. I still question the wide receiver position. I wish they would have upgraded it more. But I mean, Ertz is always going to be great, and they've got a very solid offensive line. They got a very solid defense. I think they come in second. And the Washington football team. It's going to be hard for, if you're a player on that team, to be like, all right, I'm going to go play a game for the Washington football team. That's all I'm going to say about them. It's the Washington football team.
I completely agree with those rankings. Now, let's finish this show up with the NFC West, and I might talk a little bit more in length about this just because I do have a lot of stake in this division. First, I have my San Francisco 49ers. I'm a San Francisco native. And honestly, and this may be my homers talking for me, I believe they improved as a team over the offseason. Now, the record may not reflect it, but I think with the addition of Trent Williams, who fits Kyle Shanahan's offense far more than Joe Staley, and I also think he has a lot more left in the tank than Joe Staley, and the additions of Brandon Ayuk and Jordan Reed, from all accounts, he's been playing very, very well in camp. I think this offense has a chance to be one of the most lethal in the NFL, which is, I mean, it might be bold for some people because they don't really have a true number one wide receiver. But I think with Kyle Shanahan, who can scheme basically any wide receiver open, I think this offense has a chance to be top 2 in the NFL, putting up around 30 points a game, which is what they ended up doing last year. On a defensive side, I think the key for them is remaining healthy. I think they have maybe the best linebacker trio in the NFL in Quan Alexander, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw. The big question mark for me is honestly, it's the health of the D-line and it's the health of the cornerbacks. I think Richard Sherman, he can't. I don't know if he can play at the same level he did before in Seattle. He had a great year last year, but as the season progressed, he hurt his hamstring, and then when he came back, he wasn't quite the same. On the other side, it looks like we're going to start Emmanuel Mosley at cornerback, and I think he could be good, but I think those are big question marks. And then on the defensive line, just keeping everybody healthy, which is tough last year. We were able to survive through it, but if we lose defensive line depth, we could be giving up a lot of points. And I'm going to move. See the Niners. I think they'll go 11-5 or 12-4. It's going to be an incredibly competitive division. And second, I have the Seahawks. The addition of Jamal Adams for me is huge. I think it improves their defense even more. Now you have him and Quandre Diggs at safety. That is an incredible safety tandem. And on offense, you still have Russell Wilson. You have Chris Carson and Rashad Penny coming back from injury. You have the addition of Carlos Hyde and a matured second-year player in DK Metcalf, who I think is primed to break out. I think the Niners-Seahawks rivalry is going to be at a peak this year, which is two incredible teams duking it out for the number one spot. In third, I have the Cardinals. They're another team where if they say they're in the NFC South or the AFC South, they might win it. I think their offense is going to be incredible with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm a huge believer in the air raid system. And with guys like Kenyon Drake and Christian Kirk who are tailored to it, plus a top 3, maybe top 2 receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, I think the offense will be primed to break out. And with the addition of Isaiah Simmons in the draft, I think the defense will be more versatile, and they could cause some teams some serious issues on that side of the ball. And in last, I have the Rams. I don't see how they made any strides as a team. Well, I believe every other team in the NFC West improved. And I think Sean McVay's offense got stale at the end of last year. Teams were starting to pick up on it. It got a little bit predictable. They were unable to run the ball because of their offensive line. I don't think their offensive line improved to a point where they will be able to consistently compete with the other three teams in the division and keep up. I think their defense will still be solid. I think the loss of Corey Littleton is huge. I think he's one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. But I just don't see how this team in maybe the best division in football, and maybe the best division in football we've seen in a long time, I don't know how they're able to keep pace. I just don't see them finishing any better than 8-8 or 9-7, and I could say the same about the Cardinals. I just think it's going to be incredibly competitive, and I think the winner of this division will be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
All right, really quick before we got to go, boom or bust, who do you have as your boom team?
Boom team this year, I got to go with the Browns. I think they were overhyped last year. I think this year was Kevin Stefanski and a much improved offensive line. I think we'll play much more into Baker's style. I think the play action pass is his go-to. I could see Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry really fulfilling their high expectations from last year.
Yeah, I'm going to go for my boom team. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think that the Cardinals are going to win the division. I'm sorry. I don't think the Niners are going to do it back-to-back. Cardinals, I think that they might have the most explosive offense in the NFL. One of the top 5 receiving cores. They've got Kenyon Drake, who finally can show that he's a good player on a good team because Adam Gase decided he wanted to ruin his career. Don't know what their relationship is, but I do not respect Adam Gase for that. I got the Cardinals. I also think that they have a really good defense, and might be a hot take right here because people like Chase Young. I think Isaiah Simmons is the best player that came out of that draft. I think he is also going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I love Isaiah Simmons. The fact that the Cardinals were able to draft him at 8 is insane. My bust team. I'm kind of split here. I kind of want to go with the Seahawks. I might just keep it in there. I was going to go with the Bills. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I love Russell Wilson. I think he is the most proven NFL quarterback in the league right now. I think Mahomes is great. I'm going to put Mahomes above him right now. I think Russell Wilson's number 2. I just don't see it working out this year. I think their offense is going to be pretty good. Adding Jamal Adams was pretty big, but I don't know if their running game is going to be the same. They brought in Carlos Hyde. Rashad Penny is coming off an ACL tear. Chris Carson is not looking good right now. In training camps, the training camp reports, they don't like him right now. They don't think that he's as good as he can be. And he's always had problems fumbling the ball, and right now it just sounds like he's lost a step. And if Chris Carson has lost a step, that's going to be really bad for the Seahawks.
And really quick to finish it up, my bust team has got to be the Baltimore Ravens, like Adam touched on earlier. It's a much improved division. I just think it'll be hard for them to run the table again like they did last year. Although I think if they make it in, they have a chance at getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, all right. So that's going to be it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Adam Ryerson. I'm joined by Elliot Skillings.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This is hopefully the start of something big for us and cross-country sports talk. We'll see you guys next week.
Tune in. It's going to be next week, same time, 6 o'clock p.m. on Friday. We'll have a rundown of the Thursday night football game, college football talk, maybe some MLB. We'll catch you guys there. Thank you.
Thank you.